So is the Honeywell Airgenius5 as sold in Target, is it really worth $220? Well, let's take a look inside. What we're going to do is first we're going to take a look at the spec sheet and just cover filters, the square footage, replacement filter cost, and the warranty. And then we'll cover some quick pros and cons, and then we'll do a comparison of it. So let's go on to the specs. Well, the specs on the Honeywell Airgenius5 are as follows. And we'll just start with the price, which I mentioned already, $220 at Target. It covers 220 square feet, so that's really easy math. It's about $1 a square foot, which is actually kind of expensive for an air purifier. And then the two filters. Now there's one optional filter, but it's always going to be at most two, because one of them you can change out. But the primary filter is a plastic honeycomb filter, which is washable. And it says you never have to replace it, but you actually do. If you look in the manual, after 3 years or so of use, they suggest that you change this filter. You can also look through the filter, and if you watch the video I made of the machine and taking it apart, you can actually see daylight through the filter. So it's just imagine like a honeycomb with a lot of layers to the honeycomb. So you can see light through it, you can see through the filter. But those little pockets in there will gather some dust and pollen. And I'll talk more about the filter during the pros and cons. And then the second one is a washable foam, thin foam pre-filter at the front right before the honeycomb. And that's washable, just a little piece of foam basically. And then optionally you can take that foam filter out and put a very thin odor filter in there. And you can get two of those for $36. You'll have to change them every 3 months. It's not much of a filter. It's very thin, as I mentioned, but that is another option. And one of them comes in the purifier when you buy it. And then it's got a 5-year limited warranty. Now, if you do have problems with it, you have to pay to return it back to the manufacturer, and you have to send them a check for $15 for them to send it back to you as well. So, and they'll fix it, but you got to pay both ways. Okay, so let's go on to the pros and cons. Well, the pros are that it is washable, so it'll gather some dust and pollen, but they do suggest you change that every 3 years, even though I haven't been able to find a price for the replacement. They're very quiet. It has a nice slim design. It has the 5-year warranty I mentioned, and it has really nice controls on it, touchscreen controls on the top of the unit. So those are the pros. The cons are that it's really only 2 technologies. So it's rather expensive for a 2 technology machine, which as well does not include HEPA. So it'll gather about 1/10 the number of particles of dust and pollen as HEPA will gather. So it will gather some dust and hair and pollen, but it's nowhere near as good as a HEPA filter. And then it has no technology to kill bacteria, viruses, or germs. And then, as I mentioned, it's about $1 a square foot for the cleaning that it will do. So let's compare the Honeywell Airgenius5 2-stage air purifier with the 9-stage Alive air purifier. Well, as I mentioned, the Airgenius is 2 stages, 220 square feet, about $1 a foot, 5-year limited warranty, and it costs $220. The Alive Air 9-stage air purifier has HEPA, which is your best for pollen and dust. It has UV to kill germs, bacteria, and viruses. And it has carbon, which is your best for absorbing odors and chemicals, plus 6 other stages: electrostatic, pre-filter, TiO2, which I'll cover in a moment on the next slide. And then it'll cover 860 square feet, so it's about 34 cents a square foot. And so it's almost 4 times as much as the Airgenius, and yet it only costs $297, and they'll ship it right to your home. And it has a 5-year limited warranty as well. So there's a little comparison of the two. The Alive Air's 9 technologies, this is the most robust purifier out there because it has a good size HEPA for allergens, allergies, pollen, and mold, carbon, as I mentioned, UV, and TiO2 for germs, viruses, and bacteria killing. It has a pre-filter washable, which is larger than the Airgenius5 one. That's to gather hair, dust, and pollen, and it'll extend the life of the other filters. Then it has negative ion, and that's it's by the fan, and the negative ions go out into the room. What makes ocean air and forest air so fresh and clean and refreshing is that actually our bodies need negative ions, and indoors you don't get, or you get a reduced amount of negative ions. That's why fresh air is fresh, basically. But it'll also knock out some odors and mold. And then it has sensors to detect odor, dust, and pollen, so it'll adjust the energy levels and the fan speed basically to detect what's going on in the room and adjust accordingly. So what I like about the 9 stages is that together the 9 stages not only get rid of pollen, viruses, odors, and dust, but it also helps the immune system work less so the body can rest and recover, which is why I usually suggest you have it in the bedroom. The regular price of the Alive Air is $479, but via the link below, it has a special price at $297 with free shipping, so you'll actually save $182. So that's the Alive Air, better air for better living. And thanks for watching this review of the Honeywell Airgenius5 Air Purifier. So is the Honeywell Airgenius5, as sold in Target, is it really worth $220? Well, let's take a look inside. What we're going to do is first we're going to take a look at the spec sheet and just cover filters, the square footage, replacement filter cost, and the warranty. And then we'll cover some quick pros and cons, and then we'll do a comparison of it. So let's go on to the specs. Well, the specs on the Honeywell Airgenius5 are as follows. And we'll just start with the price, which I mentioned already, $220 at Target.